Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Wrestling Travel Presents the Lockdown Sessions. We are brought to you by Wrestle Merch Central over there in the United Kingdom. They are your hub for the United Kingdom and Europe, all things professional wrestling. Check them out on WrestleMerchCentral.com. But please help me in welcoming from Ring of Honor, ROH. We have LSG on here today. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. I'm glad to have you on right before the 19th anniversary show that is going to happen. When we air this, it's going to be happening today, tonight. So if you don't already have it purchased on Fight TV or wherever you can get Ring of Honor, make sure you jump on. But man, we're lucky to have you right before this this big match you got coming up. We're really, as I fumble over my words, we are excited to start. How long have you been in the business then?
Oh man, I'm approaching 10 years. You know, people don't believe it, but yeah, it's almost 10 years. And I've been with Ring of Honor since 2015. So yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been a struggle, but it's finally paying off. Like, things have been really great.
You know what? You're right. When things are paying off, and we're in the middle of a pandemic still, and things are paying off for you. So you can't get much better than that. But you, world famous Monster Factory graduate, am I right?
Absolutely.
So how did you
came through there?
How did you end up there? Obviously, you're from out that way, but
right.
You
I technically didn't start there. I was jumping around from school to school. Actually, the first school I ever went to closed down a couple months after I joined. So I was left without a home, and I was in New Jersey. If you know anything about the New Jersey scene, it's very saturated. There are probably 10 schools at least, just in the one state. So my buddy and I, Tough Tim Hughes, we would just get on the road and just every chance we got, we'd find a school and train. But eventually we just needed a home. We needed a foundation, and that's when we found the Monster Factory. We both did a camp with Gerald Briscoe, and we saw how serious Danny Cage was about building careers and building superstars, and kind of like continuing the legacy that Larry Sharp had at the original Monster Factory. So we saw how serious he was and how much he wanted to help us, and we thought this is the place to stay and call home.
Talk about it. I've been out in Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, but you're right. It's almost what is worse, having a place where there's not a school within 100 miles, or having a place that there's 100 schools within 100 miles. It's almost, you could flip a coin on which is the worst situation. So
at least you have options over here. There are options.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Well, I feel bad. I think about it. I'm so spoiled here because, I'm afforded like all of these opportunities and places to train. And I think about out in the Midwest or even out in like the Pacific Northwest, like where do they train? There's nothing out there. Like you really have to move across the country or to a completely different region just to get some good training.
Back when I trained, you couldn't even, at least people now have the internet. It could go on. Right. It was so protected. And the information wasn't out there. So it is very lucky that you can get out there. And the fact that you're at the world renowned Monster Factory. I think the closest thing here is American Cess Camp, the Black and Brave down in Iowa, which is kind of cool to have something in the Midwest.
Yeah, that is.
What LSG, when you were young, what got you into pro wrestling? I always like to find out, like, who did you watch when you turned on the TV, and who did you see and you thought, hey, this is cool, I want to get into this?
Yeah, I'll say this. I was a little late to the party. I really missed a lot of like the Attitude Era stuff. I didn't get to watch any ECW when it was on, or I caught WCW here and there, but I think like WrestleMania 17 was like the first big pay-per-view I watched, and I was really captured by that whole like feud with Stone Cold and The Rock, and like that really caught my attention. I liked Jericho when I was a kid. And then, when I felt like WWE started changing a little bit, it really wasn't for me. I started like gravitating toward so TNA was a big influence, and then that's how like I discovered guys like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Abyss and the X Division, and like that's kind of like I was a huge TNA fan, and because of that, I went to an ROH show and I recognized a lot of the guys because at the time there was that partnership still, and there was a lot of guys from TNA working in Ring of Honor, and I was like, whoa, Samoa Joe's here and AJ Styles is here and all the Christopher Daniels, and that's when I fell in love with ROH, like 2005.
How cool is that to be working in ROH? Because that's like the who's who of pro
Yeah,
wrestling.
I tell people like I feel like my story is very unique, especially within the roster right now. I was a legitimate Ring of Honor fan going to all these shows in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I wouldn't miss one, and it's like a full circle moment that I was there as a kid watching these guys, and now I'm working with them. They say you keep working until your heroes are your peers. I'm not sure if that's the exact same, but that's basically what I've like brought into existence. I said one day I want to work for Ring of Honor. I'm going to make it happen no matter what, and here we are.
That's awesome, because I can't think of. And I'm just kind of. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just switching my Wi-Fi because it was a little spotty there. So, no, I mean, working Ring of Honor has been. If people didn't catch Ring of Honor, looked like I was frozen up there.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch it when it was happening, like you were able to go see, it's something that people go back to and check the history of Ring of Honor because I love that people, are just discovering who's this Tyler Black guy. Well, you've known him for a long time. You just didn't know the name and Daniel Bryan and everybody. That's just
everybody who's somebody has come through Ring of Honor at some point. I remember seeing matches like, Tyler Black versus Kota Ibushi in my hometown. And like at the time, you just think these are two upstart guys just going out there to kill it and try to prove themselves and get a name out there. And now you fast forward 15 years and you're like, these guys are the best wrestlers in the world. They all pass through Ring of Honor. I think Ring of Honor is like it's like the test. Like, can you hang? Can you make it in this business? If you can make it in Ring of Honor, you can make it everywhere else.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's mainstream. It's the real deal. When people look at the general wrestling fan will say, hey, if I see it on TV, that's the be all end all, and then everything else. And it's like, no, watch this stuff. This Ring of Honor is where it's at.
Yeah. When I meet people and I tell them I'm a wrestler and they, immediately think WWE, I'm like, well, look at WWE, right? Look at all the guys that are there. They came from Ring of Honor. That's where I'm at. This is where we build stars. We create stars. We discover stars. And whether they stay in Ring of Honor, guys like the Briscoes or Jay Lethal, or move on, I think like it's just a fantastic place to be a pro wrestler and to learn and to get better and to make a name for yourself.
That's what I was going to talk about. Is we're kind of. I said I don't want to sleep on the guys that are still there, but look at the guys like the Briscoes, bringing it every night for how long, and their promos. I mean, I used to put their promos on a loop on YouTube years ago, just because it's just they draw you in, and they're great.
That newest one with Jay Briscoe and EC3 was money. I was raving about it because I absolutely love what we're doing right now with the direction we're going in as a company, going back to our roots about fighting and treating it like a sport. And I think like you watch a vignette or you watch a promo package like that for the pay-per-view, and I think that will captivate anybody, especially people who maybe fell out of love with wrestling and maybe gravitated towards UFC or MMA, and they see something like this, and it's kind of that brings back that realism to pro wrestling, and I think we're killing it at doing that. Like I think there's nobody better than us right now at treating it like a sport and treating it like it's the real deal.
And that's what I mean, there's a niche for everybody, but that's what a guy like me loves about it is when we started watching it, it was just I remember being a kid and the just protecting the business before I even knew what protecting the business meant. Just like, oh, these guys are going at it, and it was before the internet and before things got to. I understand like the cinematic matches kind of became a necessity during the pandemic, but at the same time, some of those have been done really well, and some of them have been done almost putting the silly spin or the comedy on it. And I want the combat. I want the promos are what draw me in. You talked about WrestleMania 17. Now that's something that drew people in, that the confrontation between The Rock and Stone Cold, those promos back and forth. I remember owning the DVD, and I think it now goes between $80 and $100 on eBay, but it had the second disc with the Limp Bizkit soundtrack and everything. And
that was another part of it that captured me. That at that time period, those bands, like, you know, I was big into like new metal. I mean, I still am. But like when I Limp Bizkit, and like that was so influential, and it's just a match made in heaven, wrestling and that kind of music. And I think that's just what drew me in as a kid. Like, I think Results May Vary was probably one of my like first like CDs I bought as a kid, and a few of the other Limp Bizkit ones. And like, I love when they used Limp Bizkit or Disturbed or Metallica. Like, that drew me in as a kid, and I was like, this is freaking awesome. It's music and fighting, like, all mixed in together. And that like with that My Way package, that, oh man, that
I can't listen to My Way without picturing those guys clanging beers and just beating the snot out of each other. It was so good. But I wanted to, getting back to that combination that drew me in. What drew me in, now I'm going to give away my age a little bit, was WrestleMania 5, when Hulk Hogan challenged Randy Savage for the title. Going into that one, there was weeks and weeks of vignettes of Randy Savage's heel promos that, if you can ever look them up on YouTube, kind of getting, just so I'm not off track, I'm talking about like the Briscoes and everything. Those heel promos really drew me in. As a kid, I was going, holy cow, this guy's Savage is really mad at Hogan, and he thinks Hogan's trying to steal his girl, but I'm watching it and he's not. But it almost draws a similarity between, I don't know if you watch any comic book type films or get into like that. They always say that
you can always see what's in front of me right now.
Okay. But they always say like the villain has the villain believes he's right. He doesn't know he's a villain. He's doing what he thinks is right.
Doing is right. Yeah.
Right. And Randy Savage is going, oh, you're after my manager Elizabeth and stuff. And as a kid, I'm going, no, he's not. He's really just, he's trying to help out. And it drew me in. And now I watch those promos and they almost give me chills, because it was so believable, and it still is to me. You know, all these years later, that I'm like, he was so pissed at Hogan, and that's what I like when you're talking about the realism in Ring of Honor. That's what people are getting. If they're not checking you guys out, they're missing out on a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, you watch these promos and it's almost like, you know, we still have babyface and heel, but there's also a little bit of that gray area, because, you know, we're human. We're not robots. You're not programmed to be good or bad. Sometimes you have good qualities and bad qualities, and you're a little bit of mix. And I like that we give the fans the opportunity to kind of decide what they want to get behind. I mean, you look at EC3, you look at Jay Briscoe, and you can kind of see the madness in both of them. Like, you could, you know, there's no right or wrong there. And I love that. I love that they give us the freedom to just tell our stories and kind of give the fans the opportunity to just like decide for themselves. We don't force anything on anybody.
Right. And one thing about Ring of Honor too, I wanted to bring up and get your opinion on. I've heard it from a lot of people throughout this pandemic. How great has Ring of Honor treated you guys and your talent?
Oh man, so you have no idea. It's fantastic. I was thinking at the last bubble last week, and I just couldn't believe it. I just had this moment. I was like, wow, I'm very, very lucky. This Ring of Honor is taking care of us so well, from the hotel to making sure that we're all tested and safe. Every little precautionary measure that's taken, it's because they care about us. And I'm just super, super grateful. And I'm like, looking back at it, I'm like, I've been back with Ring of Honor since October now, because I was on basically a hiatus during the pandemic. And it's just been awesome. And I know everybody there is very thankful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wanted to get your opinion, obviously, so you can get a chance to really thank Ring of Honor, because that's all I've heard is how great that they were treating. And technically, they want to keep you safe. They want to keep that fan base safe, because you'd have been crazy to think that, hey, it's not like they don't want fans. It's like, we're going to keep everybody safe, and not, you know, we're not going to make a mistake. If we're going to make a mistake, we're going to err it on the side of safety. So my hat's off to that company. For your company for doing that. We're coming up on the 19th anniversary show that's going to air later today, technically not while we're speaking, but where everybody's watching this. So speaking of your journey, you loved Ring of Honor for so long. Now you're with Ring of Honor, which is a huge thing for you. But now you're on the 19th anniversary show. How important is that?
It's huge, man. I think Final Battle, the one that just passed, was actually my pay-per-view debut. So this is just another opportunity for me to make a moment, to create a moment, to make history. No one can ever take that away from me. You know, you look at the 19th anniversary, you look at the card, I'm on it. No one can ever take that away from me. And building a legacy and creating memories for people, I think that's like the most important thing for me. You know, money's great and all that kind of stuff, and championships is great, but like creating memories and etching my name into history books, that's what it's all about for me. And yeah, no one can ever take that away from me.
Take it away, and now you've got that opportunity that some young fan watching can go, hey, I remember watching
Yeah.
the 19th anniversary show. And you guys, you're going to start it off in a 4-way match, right?
Yeah, it's four guys. We're all super hungry. We're all, you know, scratching, clawing to make it, you know, in Ring of Honor. None of us have held championships yet, so we're all just looking to just climb the ranks. You know, right now we're really treating the ranking system, um, you know, I think the best way we can, and every match means something. You know, the no match is just a waste. No match is a filler. Everything means something in Ring of Honor right now. And the four guys, you know, me included, are going to really go at it and try to show off.
So yeah, I'm looking at Brian Johnson, Danhausen, who's been out there for a little while in the indie scene, and he's great, and Eli Isom and everything. I mean, so what is that? That's four, like you said, hungry dudes. But now you're starting off this pay-per-view. Now I don't know if this is going to be like on some matches or some cards where like, hey, this is the one we're going to show you to get you interested into buying it, or if it's going to be on if you can't see it or whatever. But that's an important spot.
Yeah, it is. And we are in that spot. We're on the hour one. So the hour one special, it's got a couple matches. I think it's us and the six-man tag title match. All the preview packages, and it's pretty cool because we're the first thing people are going to see, you know, on the pay-per-view, and it's going to kind of set the tone. And you know, I think people are going to be very happy with what they see.
Absolutely. So if you're just joining us now and it's you're not joining us 2 years later, but order that tonight. You're on Fight TV. I'm trying to figure out. Our friends in the UK do have Fight TV, but I don't think it's. It probably is on a number of different outlets, but Fight is the one that comes to mind from my friends in the UK. So you want to jump on, you want to catch it, you want to watch the 4-man match, the 6-man tag team match, and everything, and you want to order this paper. It's the 19th anniversary special, and you've got, like you said, Jay Briscoe kicking it off, EC3. What match would you say besides that one? I'm going to take that one off the cards. Well, let's say you're done, you're showered up, you're ready. What match are you looking forward to watching off that card? If you could only pick one, because I know there's going to be a lot there. But
all right, well, I'm going to have to go with my guy Jay Lethal and Roosh. I think that's a first time ever matchup. That's just a match I'm dying to see, just because there's been so much animosity between LFI and the foundation, and I think it's just a cool matchup to see because Roosh's style, he's such an aggressive, he's literally a bull. And then Jay, you know, he's a master technician and master striker, and like I'm just curious to see how that's going to turn out. It's cool to see first time matches. You know, we've seen so many rematches and things like that over the years. This is a nice fresh match, and I think, you know, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's two great styles going at it too. I remember seeing Roosh. I think the first time I actually really did see him was live up in Toronto in 2019 at the old Maple Leaf Gardens. Went to the Ring of Honor show up there, and it was fantastic. Let me pick your brain about one other guy on the roster that has been doing it very well for a long time. But give me your thoughts on Jonathan Gresham.
Oh, I've read your mind. The Octopus, man, he is absolutely fantastic. I think, you know, I'd like to say he's the best in the world right now. Pound for pound, best wrestler in the world. The guy is a wrestling genius. And he's also one of the most unselfish people you'll ever meet, because he's the kind of guy that really truly cares about Ring of Honor and the future of the company. And I think that's the whole foundation and what they stand for. They want to see Ring of Honor purified and brought back to its roots. They want to see it grow and I guess maintain its integrity. And I love that. I love that about him. And that's not a gimmick. That's really how that guy is and how he thinks. Um, and I've been very fortunate to be around him for so long. We've only wrestled a couple times, but I actually wrestled him at one of my Ring of Honor tryouts. And I think getting to work with him really elevated me in the eyes of the coaches and things like that. And it really helped me get a job at Ring of Honor. And then even spending a little bit of time with him in Germany, we were doing a tour of WXW, and he happened to be there the same weekend, and just getting to bond with him and talk to him and stuff like that. He's just a great person to look up to, and he's a fantastic role model. So I love being on the roster with him. He's awesome.
Yeah, one of those guys, like you say. I mean, I could have read your mind too just from watching him. He's got the guy that elevates everybody around him, and that what more could you ask for? I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about some independent organizations, but I was lucky enough last September to watch Jonathan Gresham versus Alex Shelley for their third match at Warrior Wrestling in Chicago. And I'm a huge fan of both of theirs. So being able to watch them in the ring was just fantastic. And I could have watched an entire night of those guys wrestling. It's just
Warrior Wrestling's killing it too with these matchups, man. I see some of the stuff they book, and I'm like, this is freaking awesome. I got to get booked there.
You do. Steve and Eric at Warrior Wrestling, they are two of the best guys I know, and I just keep going. Every time I talk to Steve, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but I'll watch what they have lined up for this first card, and then, okay, that's amazing. How are they going to top it? They can't. Yeah. They do every time. And it's just amazing. And now they just announced their stadium series. They're starting again June, July, and August, and I just can't wait. And it's so nice because, especially up north, you know how it is in the Northeast. We can't wait for the sunshine to start creeping out. And there's nothing better. Even if we weren't in a pandemic, nothing is cooler than watching a stadium, an outside venue wrestling show.
Man, I'm very lucky to do a couple of I did the Ring of Honor, Field of Honor shows. I actually, with my old tag team partner with Coast to Coast, Shaheem Ali, we wrestled Gato and Yano from New Japan in the Brooklyn Cyclones stadium. So for me, being a baseball fan, wrestling in the Brooklyn Cyclones stadium against these two legends from New Japan, it was ridiculous. But yeah, there's no feeling like it. Like wrestling in a baseball stadium or even a football stadium in the summertime, it's just a great feeling. It's very unique.
I love it. And like I said, the matchups, it's so nice to see. The Warrior Wrestling was kind of like, that was the first live Friday. It was like August 7th was their Friday Night Lights. And they announced that they had around 500 people, which would have been since the pandemic, the largest spectated professional wrestling event in North America. And it felt, because we hadn't had a crowd, it felt like it, though everybody was socially distanced. They did it right. A lot of promotions after that took notes and said, hey, here's how we can kind of start doing it. They wiped down the ring in between each match. And you could there was electricity there.
Yeah.
Just because it felt like a big event.
Yeah. And, they really paved the way and kind of showed the rest of the independents how it can be done safely. I'm very fortunate too, because I work with WrestlePro and WrestlePro Alaska, and we actually went to Alaska back in September, and we had a couple sold out shows, 400 plus people, and it was just proof that we could make it happen if it's done right. And we're actually going back next week, so we're going back for 5 events and within 9 days. Yeah, 9 days, 5 events. I'm expecting several sellouts. Probably the whole tour is going to be sold out. That's pretty exciting because I'm going from the bubble where there's nobody there to being, around 400, 500 people.
Let me pick your brain on that. The bubble with no fans. How tough the fans are such a huge part of professional wrestling that did you Does it take getting used to, or you still get used to it when you go in and there's no fans? How does your mind frame switch? Is it easier for you or more difficult?
It's funny because obviously, like, I'm an independent wrestler. I've wrestled a lot of shows where there's maybe 5 people in the crowd, so
Yeah.
it's not that foreign to me. Um, it's either 5 people or thousands of people. It's a one of the, you know what I mean. So it's a little weird because you can hear everything. Like you could hear Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman calling out everything you're doing in the ring, um, but everything's silent. But at the same time, I think it's brought out a different side of us. It's brought out an intensity and kind of this aggression that like maybe some guys, a lot of guys always had, but some guys who didn't have it. And it forces you to be a little more vocal and loud and almost play to the cameras more and just be more expressive. And I think it's actually helping everybody across the board with their characters and just getting over more with through the TV, because people don't realize when you're out there, and even if you're yelling and screaming, sometimes it gets drowned out by the crowd. Now with not having a crowd there, and we're not piping in sound, you hear everything. So you can really tell a great story out there and like really convey every emotion and thought right to the camera, and it'll pick it up. I could talk trash to my opponent and it gets picked up. And I think everyone's taking advantage of it. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate the not piping in of the ambient noise, because it does, some other people that do that, I'm like, oh man, it's just that actually takes me out of the moment more than the actual ring action, where I'm like, there's nobody there, but I'm hearing these chants and I'm like, let's just get to it and wrestle. Now, you mentioned going over to WXW in Germany. So I got to ask, since we are out of Manchester in the United Kingdom, so I got to ask a travel type question. Have you wrestled in the United Kingdom before? And
I have not.
No, so we got to get you there as soon as everything calms down. We got to get you over to the UK. So I want to ask you now, wrestling, we'll do it like this: wrestling in front of a crowd in Germany versus wrestling in front of a crowd in the United States. Can you notice any difference in the fan base? I know like Japan, they're very kind of on their hands, and then the British fans are nuts, and sometimes so are the Americans. But
I've wrestled in front of some wild, rabid crowds in the United States, but it does not compare to what I experienced in Oberhausen during the World Tag League weekend. That was just crazy, because what people don't realize is for that, the World Tag League, you get everybody. It's not just the German fans. All the fans from the UK come over too. So the electricity is ridiculous. The vibe there is awesome. And Turbine Hall, and it's just freaking crazy. So I remember it was like, we flew in. We did WXW does the Inner Circle at the WXW Academy. It's like this little small show. We wrestled the Aussie Open. Like literally just got off the plane, like took a train right to the Academy, ran in. They're like, okay, you're up first. We just get changed, and we're first match. There was no time to even absorb the fact that we were in a different continent. It was just like, get to work. It's right to work. And then, the rest of the weekend we were over in Oberhausen, and it was just fantastic. Just the vibe was just insane. And getting to wrestle with world-class athletes in front of fans who are so passionate. They're so educated, and they just love they love the product. They show up and they want to have fun. They make noise. They're not just sitting on their hands. They're not there to they're not there expecting to be impressed. They want to have a good time, and there's a give and take. There's a relationship there, as you know, between the wrestlers and the fans, and they fully understand that. They give, we give back, and it's just a great, relationship and respect between wrestlers and fans there.
Yeah, so we can't wait. We got to get you in front of a UK crowd once this pandemic nonsense is over.
Hope so.
And we get you over to Manchester and some of these things. And I know the one thing I like about wrestling travel and what I do now is hopefully I can facilitate some of that, people crossing the big pond and getting a chance. Cause I think it's not like the grass is always greener, but it's always the dream to wrestle in that other country, no matter. I know a lot of international wrestlers just want to come over here and experience the U.S. fans.
And a day doesn't go by where I don't think about Germany. That's probably the time of my life. And I was born in Germany. So, but I moved when I was a baby. My dad was serving in the military. So I didn't get to experience Germany at all. I left before I could remember anything. I was, a baby. So for me, it was larger than life. And it was bigger than just wrestling. It was just experiencing the culture for like 7 or 8 weeks. And I'm just dying to go back and maybe use it as my base, and from there start traveling all over Europe. So
Let me
fingers.
ask you then. Yeah, we'll. My fingers are crossed as many times as I can, just so we get to that point where we can cross international borders again. Have you done any other countries though? Have you done Mexico, Japan, maybe Canada? I would assume is a little more
Yeah,
realistic, but
yeah. I've done Canada several times. I've done Mexico too. I've wrestled for the Crash, which
okay.
is freaking awesome. I did that in 2019. Probably going to be going back as soon as things are a little easier to for travel. Yeah, so,
Listen,
so cool.
you think about the different areas of, and that's and I'm going to go off on a tangent, but because we're a travel company. But you think of pro wrestling, Japan, Mexico, USA, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada. It is truly we're all bonded. It's one of those. I don't want to get all mushy and be like it's like a love song, but some pro wrestling is like a love song to like these fans and stuff. But we can all understand what thing that happened to me that'll be hopefully kind of interesting to you is I trained in 1997. In 2019, I called up a wrestling school in Montreal. I was with the founder of our company, Lee McAteer. He's never trained in wrestling, never been to a wrestling. He's been invited to go to these fancy performance centers. And I said, hey, I'm going to call these guys. We got to watch guys wrestle in a hole in the wall training.
Yeah.
Speaking nothing. What's that?
What was the name of the promotion?
Northern Federation of Wrestling, Northern Championship Wrestling, NCW. God, what is Jean's last name? Jean Resset is his name. I looked his name up on the internet. We were close, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, we could come by on Monday. I called him, just trying to explain, hey, we're wrestling travel. Can we get in? And he either was really nice or didn't really understand what I was asking because he invited us into his training school. A lot of bilingual kids there, but taught everything in French. And my mind was blown because it took me back to 20 some years earlier. I'm like, I don't speak a lick of French, but I understood everything that was going on in that ring. And it was just amazing. And it really, I had that connection obviously to wrestling before, but nothing like that really kind of blew my mind.
I get that question a lot about how does it work when you wrestle people who don't speak English, and people don't realize that a lot of wrestling is universal. There's a commonality there. Whether I'm wrestling, guys like Roppongi 3K from Japan, or wrestling Mexican, Spanish wrestlers, which I do all the time now with Ring of Honor. We have a lot of Hispanic wrestlers, or wrestling German guys, or when I wrestled in Canada, I've wrestled people who are French, and they, French is their first language. There's this universal language there with wrestling, and it's a physical art form. So like a lot of the stuff that you don't need to be fluent in the other language to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the thing I've always said to people that without giving too much of anything away, is that it is whoever has this sport or art form developed, it is like its own language.
Yes.
You don't need to, because a lot of people, if you're an average Joe watching it going, oh, well, they're going to look at your match tonight and go, those four guys have been practicing that for weeks. And it's like, no, you know what? We would have loved to have the time to just perfect everything and practice that for weeks. But professional wrestling, sometimes you're wrestling twice in a day, 4 times in a weekend. No, you're not. It's a great art form and language. So
yeah, it's people don't realize it, man. I have a brother who's is an actor, and I see the amount of time they rehearse. It's weeks and weeks and weeks. Sometimes months, and then people just assume that's how wrestling is too. I'm like, no, I mean, you might show up to the building and say hello to your opponent and get 5 minutes to chat and get in the ring. And people just see it and they think it's some choreographed dance. I'm like, no, it's an art form. It's impromptu and it's sport all at the same time.
you just gave a really good example. You get off your flight and now you're going in with the Aussie Open, just like bang, go get your gear on, go.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many, and I respect the heck out of actors and all artists, but I don't know how many of them could just go, hey, you know what? Here's look at the script 5 minutes later. Hey, we got to go. go, and you're live. There's no all
Yeah,
right, take two.
it's one. It's yeah, it's one thing to do some improv, but you can't improv when your body's on the line. You might break your neck like doing a wrestling move. So that adds a whole other factor into the danger element. There's no danger in doing improv with somebody.
No, yeah, just getting booed off the stage or anything.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're
exactly.
right. You're
You
taking
might
your
get a tomato thrown at your face. That's about it.
and the worst thing is not even what people don't understand is your own livelihood, but your guy across the ring from you got his livelihood. It truly is. It takes something special. Where I got told, whether when I was first training, that Olympic caliber athletes flunk out of wrestling school because it's just you kind of got it or you don't, because it's a hard it's you got to kind of train your brain around it. And I don't know about you, but I always ask, my first day of actually from watching it on TV to going in and training and then going back and then watching it on TV, it's like boom.
Right.
Now I can't it's all different now. I look at it totally different, and it's great. It's an eye opener.
And some guys who have like shoot backgrounds, some of them don't know how to turn it off. Some people do. Like I trained with Nick Camarado he's from the Nightmare family, with if you see him with QT Marshall.
Yep.
Or like Matt Riddle, he trained at the Monster Factory, and you could see he understood it. He understood it, so he knew how to turn it off. He knew how to turn off that like killer instinct, because he could have hurt anybody if he really wanted to. So the guys that are able to be coached and they know how to turn off that switch, they always excel.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I used to see like when Brock Lesnar or Dan Severn and Shamrock, they were first bringing him in, I'm like, man, I hope they know how to turn that off, because he date tags. If you accidentally tagged Shamrock and something snapped, I would have been.
A very fine line of keeping that same energy, but also, that same energy and physicality, but also not killing somebody.
Yeah,
it's a very fine line,
I want to be very respectful of your time. I've enjoyed this, but I've got two more questions for you, and they're going to be two of the biggest questions I'm going to ask you. We've hopefully been answering this question the entire time we've been talking, but if anybody out there watching right now is on the fence about, man, should I order this pay-per-view tonight, the 19th anniversary? Can you give me your best, talk me into buying this?
Yeah. Okay, so 19th anniversary show. We've got all the championships on the line. 6-man tag titles, pure championship, TV championship, world title. You're not going to see that on other pay-per-views. We've got everything defended. We've got incredible feud happening right now within the company between LFI, who's, I want to call them they're brutes, they're savages. They don't give a damn. And then you got the foundation, who cares about pure wrestling and the integrity and honor of the company and the history of the company. And all those guys are going at it. And then you've got so many future stars and people who are super hungry to impress and to show out. We have the hungriest roster. We have such a talented roster. And it's very diverse too. If that's something you're looking for in your wrestling, you want to see a diverse roster, we have it. I take pride in that too, being Hispanic. I love that we have that there. So we got a little bit of everything. And I think 19th anniversary is going to really blow everyone's brains. It's going to be just awesome all around.
Order that up if you can get it on Fight TV whenever you can.
Honor Club Fight TV pay-per-view.
Yeah, because if you're not watching Ring of Honor, take it from my. And plus, also, we are giving away a free code. If you're catching this early enough, we're giving a free code out on Wrestling Travel on our Twitter. So you follow Fight TV, you follow Wrestling Travel, you follow in Ring of Honor, and you're following LSG. Get out there and follow everybody and order that. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you win our free code, I will give you your money back if you didn't like it. And there's no way. I'm not giving anybody any money, because it's going to be awesome.
Yes, it will.
Honestly, I can't thank you enough for joining our show here. I appreciate it. My final question to you is actually for the fans. Where can the fans, obviously they're going to go to follow Ring of Honor and everything on Twitter, but where can they follow you? Where can they buy merch? How can they support you? Where can they follow your career?
Yeah, so all my handles are the same across the board. It's at Leon St. Giovanni. Just look up LSG or the Ace of Space. You will find me. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm putting up some cool vlogs, especially for my Alaska trip coming up. And I'm actually going to post some old vlogs too that I haven't posted. So check those out because I love to document my trips. Check out my Pro Wrestling Tees store, PWTs / LSG Tees. And of course, the ROH Pro Shop. I've got a brand new shirt on there. I'm going to probably be dropping a new one soon. So, and we've got some sick stuff on there on the ROH Pro Shop. So check that out.
Awesome. So we can't thank you enough for joining us. Best of luck tonight in your match. And I'm happy for you personally that you're going to get out in front of some crowds here in the next upcoming week. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.